Dope ass dude podcast. Transparent conversation. Real life stories. Hustling, grind, transparent conversation. Real life stories. Hustling, grind.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited to be back with you guys on tonight. Like, really excited. So you guys already know the preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead subscribing to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, click on like and notification so that you can be notified each and every time a new podcast is uploaded to the site. And then while you're there, if you don't mind going ahead and clicking on like so that this can be shared with others just like you. So if you don't mind going ahead, clicking on like, notification, and share, I would greatly appreciate it. And then if you're unable to catch it on Mondays, you can always catch it, listen on the go. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Again, that's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And you already know you can watch it live on Mondays on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X. Again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. You can watch it live on either of those platforms. And then lastly, if you're not following me on TikTok and Instagram, if you don't mind going ahead and following me on both of those platforms, I can be found at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. Again, both on Instagram and TikTok, you can find me at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And we'll go ahead and get Krystal's information out of the way while we're here. You can follow Krystal on Instagram. You can follow her at KBrown818. So you can follow her again on Instagram. You can follow her at KBrown818. And if you want to book your first session with Krystal, you can contact her at journey2freedom.wellness.com. So that's journey, the number 2, freedomwellness.com. So I'm really excited to have Krystal on the show tonight. And for this song, you guys already know, for the K Renee CD, I was blessed to write that whole project. And the song that we're breaking down tonight, we're talking about Bet on You. And in life, you're going to be faced with a lot of different challenges. You're going to be faced whether it's a breakup of a relationship, job problem, life is life, and or whatever. You should always bet on you to come out better than you went in. So that's what we're going to break down tonight. And if you haven't listened to the K Renee project, like I said, I may be a little bit biased, but the project is hot. So for those who want to know what it looks like, here it goes. It's K Renee's audition tape. And there's 10 tracks on it. Got a little bit of country, got some reggae, got some R&B, got some neo soul. Again, it's a great CD. So make sure you go out and check that out. And then, let's see who we got in the chat here already. What's up, Keon Kang? I see KSK. That's Keon Kang. What's going on, Keon? And we got Pat Brown. What's up, Pat? Rod. What's going on, Rod? Thank you for being here. Oh, Chris is the truth. He's shouting you out, Krystal. Let me put that up on the screen so you can not that one. Hold on. Krystal is the truth. So thank you, Rod, for tuning in on tonight. And then we got Pat saying hello, Krystal, love you. You know, Pat. So hello, Krystal, love you. And then come on, truth. So, okay, good. So we got some comments going out there already. Thank y'all for being in the chat tonight. So I've known Krystal for over 10 years now. When I met Krystal, she was on the brinks of turning 30, and she has now turned 41. she's over the hump of 40, and so she's now 41. But when I met Krystal, we met at this church here in Dallas, and she was in the choir. I was the choir director at the time. And when I came in, I was like a culture shock for them because they were a free driven choir. And I came in and I'm very disciplined. And, in the very beginning, they had to learn to trust me. And once they got up there and sung, it was kind of like the whole sister act thing. When the kids got up there and they sound a mess at first, and not saying this choir sound a mess, but they weren't well developed. And then you give your first performance and everybody goes crazy. And then they love the choir director. And that's kind of like how it happened with this group as well. So I've known Krystal for a while, and I've also had the opportunity to watch Krystal transition and evolve into greater. And you guys may remember, I think this was last year, her and we were talking, and she had just reached 40, and she was trying to figure out what the 40-year-old version of her looks like. And I shared with Krystal, like, she was in like the most fascinating place. She's not married, don't have any kids. She can pack up and move whenever she wants to move. Her life is a blank canvas for her to paint whatever she desires. And in that 1 year's time, Krystal has made so many like leaps and bounds in this 1 year of her life. And I'm just really proud of her and really happy to have her on the podcast tonight. So I'm going to bring her on now so she can talk about herself. Krystal.
Hey, how you doing? As I call you JPA, John Patrick, what's good?
What's good? I'm living life. What about you?
I can't complain. Look, it's only Monday, but I feel like it's been a great day so far. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm so honored to be here with you, especially a whole year later after we sat down and had a good old conversation. So
yeah. And it's funny, guys, when I reached out to Krystal and I asked her to come on the podcast, she was like, well, what are we going to talk about? I was like, we're going to talk about you, like, and what you got going on, because it's like we normally talk, but Krystal has launched so many things in this past year that I want you guys to know about. So Krystal, like, tell us about this 40. Tell us about your 40 so far, because you've done a lot.
Well, man, since 40, first of all, it was a big lead up to 40. And of course, planning the 40th was something very special. I really wanted to celebrate with my family, and that's what I did. I started off with being intentional last year. And after, having that celebration, bringing in a new decade with family and friends, and even having to circle back, going on tour, going to Dallas to see my Dallas fam, bringing all that in, I got inspired all over again to reinvent, not even reinvent, but just to continue what I started a long time ago. And so actually, there is a young man on this call right now who knows what I'm about to say. It's funny how, you have one thing in your mind 15 years prior of launching something special, but you just don't know how to get it going. You don't know because you're now 40. Like, things have changed so much. I've experienced so much. So shout out to Rod, who's on here. Man, out of nowhere, he noticed that I was trying to work on something, but I just couldn't quite get the words to say exactly what I wanted. I just knew I wanted to help people. So with that said, come July 2025, in my 40th year, I started my first business, and I didn't even know it was going to turn into this. But I'm so thankful to be the creator of Journey to Freedom Wellness Coaching. I desire to help women break up with what's breaking them and help them through practical tools of personal coaching. I really want to help people transform their mindset so that they can live a more free life the way I am now living. Because you know me, John.
Yeah.
I was broken at one point. You met me in my brokenness. You met me right then. So you've been able to see the complete 180, the whole turn of events. And here I am in Atlanta, finishing what I started 14, 15 years ago. So it's been incredible. And I can't thank God enough.
Yeah. And I love how you called yourself, you were about to say reinvent yourself, and you called yourself, because I think a lot of times people want to reinvent themselves, but they have to understand everything that has happened to us up until this point has made us who we are. So you're supposed to find all of that good and the lessons in it and the value of it to build upon. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you've done is like you're constantly evolving into
Sure.
greater. It's not, and you're not just like, oh, I'm going to forget about everything that has happened to me. You're using what has happened to you to help people. So that's what life is all about. So I love that.
Absolutely. I think at one point in time, you always told me one day you're not going to be in this place. You're going to be able to help someone else. So you got to forgive yourself for what you've gone through so you can then forgive others so you can get out there and show people how to do this. So it's just been, I feel like doors just keep opening that I didn't even foresee. But like you said, had I not approached Atlanta as my new blank canvas, had I kept trying to recreate my Dallas experience and bringing that here, because I grieved Dallas a lot when I moved to Atlanta. So I was trying to find my group that will remind me of Dallas, and that's to stop. I had to stop that. So once 40 hit, it was like, all right, Krystal, let's get brand new and let's do what I got to do to get myself out there the way I need to be. So it's been a great journey so far. Like I'm on my own journey at this point again. So
Yeah, and those milestone years, 30, because I remember when you turned 30, you thought you was grown. You weren't,
I
you
did.
know, yeah, you thought you was grown and like so it's
I
like
thought
those
I knew it
milestone
all.
years. Yeah, you thought, but those milestone years, 30, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Every time you hit one of those milestone years, it's like you wake up and you be like,
Yeah.
it's not so much different, but it's like it's just something about those milestone years. So I'm glad you're embracing it and
Yeah.
seeing it for the beauty it is.
Oh
So
yeah.
okay, so one thing you just mentioned too, and I definitely want to dive in. I know we're going to dive into it as we go on, but you was talking about you had to forgive yourself. Like,
Yeah.
talk us a little bit through that process. Like, what does forgiving yourself or anybody, what does forgiving who you are look like?
Ooh, good question. That's a good question.
You're on
Ooh,
the Dope Ass Do
we
podcast. What
getting
you
deep
think?
tonight. Okay, so wow. Well, I'll take you back. I'll go back to an old story here that is honestly what launched Journey to Freedom in the first place. I was in a really ugly, just horrible relationship. And at the time, it was a really difficult time of 4 years of off and on with this guy. And it was probably the most loss I've ever felt between 27 and 29. Well, yeah, around there. I was completely broken, like in pieces, trying to make something work that wasn't supposed to work. So once I finally got out of it, I kept beating myself up for being in it in the first place, not realizing the whole time I was free from it, but yet I kept recounting it, like going back to, oh, I just should have did this. I shouldn't have did this. Like I've stayed in that season for way too long. And actually, it was you that brought it up. Like, look, you got to get free from this. You got to forgive yourself. And through forgiving, I had to do some catharticism. I had to write it down because I had to unpack why did I even allow this to happen in the first place? How did I get there? But that's when I started realizing in order to get free from this situation, I have to look at myself and say, Krystal, this is why you did this. Let it go, move forward, because otherwise, you don't forgive yourself, you will stay bonded to the problem. And that was my issue at the time. I literally kept staying close to the situation. Almost, and I mean, yes, I'm living in Texas. I kept seeing this guy. He's my ex. I'm going to see him. So it was very hard. Every time I saw him, the shame would come upon me, the guilt. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But the more I did that, the more I stayed chained to him. So finally, it took for me to literally how I forgave myself was I had to look at the whole picture. And I had to realize not only did I not know who I was, neither did he. So why should I blame him if he didn't know how to handle me and I didn't know how to handle me? Why am I pointing the finger? So at that point, not only did I forgive myself for not knowing who I was and my worth, I had to forgive him for not knowing how to handle it. And then I felt a release. I felt this huge thing of peace over my life. And the next thing you knew, Me and you got to talking, and I ended up starting a blog called Journey to Freedom because I started writing down what that felt like, what each day felt like of forgiveness. And I mean, it wasn't a pretty story. It was rough. And you probably remember you were there for like pretty much all of
Yeah.
it. So it was a rough healing season for me. But I'm thankful that I went through it because I would not be able to pour into other women in this fashion if I didn't get broken in the first place. I'm not saying you got to get out here and get broken to be inspired, but in my case, I had to have that happen in order to get to where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. Forgiving yourself is so important. It is so important because if you don't forgive yourself, you'll find yourself, like you said, ashamed, and that shame keep you in bondage. It keeps you chained to that person. It keep you chained to people's thoughts, those who know about it. It keep you chained to that, and then you'll find yourself broken constantly, and you'll start attracting brokenness as well. Whether it's in a relationship or whether it's a friendship or whatever, you will start attracting brokenness, and you have to forgive yourself so that you can free yourself. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we miss a lot of time.
Absolutely. And it was so many missed opportunities. I mean, if y'all only knew, this was holding me back from probably career moves. Um, this brokenness I was running in and not being free from the forgiveness was holding me back from relationships in my family. And just honestly, my relationship with God, it had shifted quite a bit. And I had just lost my grandmother. I had the triple threat of years during that breakup time. I lost my grandmother. That was one of the women that I always spoke to about everything. She was gone. My older sister at the time, her and her husband had moved from Dallas back to DC. So I was in complete isolation. And I wish I could tell y'all that forgiveness took like a day or two. Mm-mm. This took a good, like, just to get to the forgiveness, 8 or 9 months after the breakup. The breakup was gone, but it took me so long to finally sit with myself and own it, own my peace, own what I did or what I didn't do. And I had to just love on myself and just realize, okay, Krystal, that was you back then. What do you want for now? And where do you want to go for later? I had to really reel that in. And it took time, but I'm thankful I did the work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you pretty much said forgiveness is not a one and done thing. And that's
Mm-mm.
where a lot of people forget. I mean, they get it twisted. And I had to learn this the hard way too. Sometimes you have to forgive a person
Yeah.
daily for the same transgression against you because it constantly rises up in you. And you have to say, hey, I forgive you for that. I forgive me for allowing it. And you have to do it daily until it no longer bothers you.
That's
We
it.
we think we could just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I forgive them," but and you may go months without it, ever thinking about it. But if
Yeah.
something triggers it and it rises up in you,
Yeah.
you're still not completely healed from it. So in those moments, you still have to come back and say, "I forgive you," or
Yeah.
"I forgive you," "I forgive me." So again, you can free yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So was that I know it was pretty hard. So and I know people like to put a time stamp on things. How long do you think it took you to get over that and move on from it?
Okay, so even after the forgiveness part, y'all, yeah, you do know, John, I was not done healing. So the forgiveness was like the first step. But from there, I had to reintroduce myself. And a lot of that came from a mindset shift. So with me blogging every day, I started realizing, dang, I'm not by myself. Like, it's not just me that went through this type of heartbreak. There's millions of people that feel the same the way I feel. So now I didn't feel alone. Then I had to create a community. I had to get around a community of people that would hold me accountable, to making sure I didn't go back. Because sometimes, even if you're leaving a chaotic situation, it's harder to fly straight when all you're used to is chaos. Believe it or not, I was almost more comfortable in my chaos, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse. I was more comfortable there because I knew it. I'm familiar with it. I'm used to being told I'm not good enough. But man, when I surrounded around myself around people that helped me switch my mindset, it changed the ball game. All of a sudden, I'm realizing by 30, which is when I remember you came to my birthday, I realized I'm that girl. And it's okay. A heartbreak is a heartbreak. I'm gonna keep moving. And so it took me 4 years, 4 years, honestly and truly, to get through that. Like I feel like I was in my own thing of Exodus, like I was in the trenches trying to get to the promised land. And I held myself back from that healing because I just kept going back to what I felt was comfortable. But after I realized my power and I realized that I didn't have to put up with it anymore, you can't take that away. Once you learn and you can look in the mirror and love who you see, then I started working on the fitness side of myself, worked hard there, started loving taking care of my body, and my self-care started to come back. I was a whole new person after, that 4-year trial and all of that. So just triumphing through that was rough, but worth it.
So let me ask you this here, because I think this is where a lot of us tend to go wrong too when we're coming out of situations. So you said you found your community. And I think a lot of times when we get out of situations, sometimes we can find ourselves in situations where we have liked experience, people who have had experiences like us.
Yeah.
So I give you an example. Say, for instance, you just got out of a relationship with a guy that was pretty bad for you, whatever. So I think it's a difference when we many times a lot of us or a lot of women can find themselves in groups of women who share that thought all men are dogs. So when they get in those type of situations, they all agree. They all agree. There's no challenging. But when you find a community that is going to help you grow, they will ask you the question, is it all men are dogs, or is it the men you've allowed into your life that are dogs? It's two completely different situations on how you look at it. Because all men aren't dogs. It's just the men that maybe you've encountered and that you dealt with. But so many times we find ourselves in situations that's going to agree with us. Yeah, all men are dogs. And then we'll find ourselves in a pig pen, in slop that smells bad, bathing in it daily, because that's what we surrounding ourselves with. So how did you know whether this was a community or whether this was just a chat group? How did you know the difference?
Ooh, okay. Well, here's the good part. I'll say it this way. I had a mentor that was probably what I want to say 15, maybe 20 years older than me, married woman from Chicago. And when I say community, she was probably one of the first women outside of my mom and my sisters. Sometimes you need a mentor that's outside of the family because she also encountered and watched me go through this. But she helped me do some really deep soul searching. And it was rough. It was ugly. And it wasn't all like, yeah, all men are this. She looked at me and said, before you point that finger, we got to figure out what's going on in that heart. What's going on in that psyche of yours to think that you deserve that treatment from that one person. So thankfully, to her point, to her help, she didn't put me in this corner of this is how they're all going to be, because she showed me what it should look like by introducing me to her husband and showing me how he treats her. And not saying that her man was perfect, but what I loved about what she did was she showed me it's possible to still have a healthy relationship. I surrounded myself around people who had healthy relationships with that, instance, instead of, now I have friends too. Now we were young. Now, I'm still in my 30s. So I had some friendships that, I did have one group of girls that still kind of helped me in a different way. Like, you don't need nobody, you good. And so I have both sides working in tandem. So there were times where it was a good thing, and there were times where it probably wasn't a very smart place. So I had to learn to decipher what advice is going to help me propel forward in my maturity, which one's going to leave me stuck behind. And that took time too. So once I started to mature and I started listening to those who could really help me propel forward, my relationship with relationships started to change. My outlook on men changed. And it told me, okay, I just happened to get a bad situation. I'm not going to put this blame on every guy I meet And I had to learn how to lower the guard because my guard went up. Trust me, the trust level was gone. It was very hard for me to trust again, even friendships. I was just very weary about everything. But it took time. But I had to decipher between what group to listen to and what group to let go in one ear and out the other.
Mhm. Yeah, taking time to heal is so important. Taking time to heal and just detox. I mean, when you come out of a situation, whether it's job, relationship, friendship, family members, whenever you come out of something that is could either be traumatizing or hurtful, you
Yep.
need to take that time that you detox, you purge, you forgive, and you heal. You do all of those things so that when you move forward into your next situation, you go into it with clarity. And I think not forgiving people and not forgiving things, it blurs our vision. We have no clarity. What do you think?
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree because full transparency, think about it. After that incident, or not incident, but that relationship, look, I'm making it like a crime scene. I'm sorry. It was that bad, y'all. John knows, he knows. After that relationship, I did not have clarity yet, but still chose to get in another relationship because I was desiring relationship, but not realizing I probably still wasn't ready. I wasn't. And so when I got into that situationship, and that was when that word got invented, I feel like that was a brand new thing to have a situationship. But when I got there, because I didn't have clarity, I ran from it. Instead of me going all in and giving it a chance because this young man did want to try to progress, I got scared because I didn't have the clarity that I needed before I left. So here I was putting this new young man in the old young man's spot, and it wasn't even his fault. And so I got scared. When it got real, I got scared and I ran. And I was like, yeah, I'm not ready. And then, yeah. And now, hey, I'm, and so it took a minute for me to have that deciphering and understanding how to get the clarity. But I think time is what brought clarity for me. Because I have a big heart. I have a big heart. I'm really kind and I do love to give people chances. But as I've ticked up, like, 38, 39, the time started to dwindle as far as how many chances you're going to get before I don't feel like we're clear. So the clarity is key. You have to have clarity. And that's in general. I'm learning about clarity everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's at my job, if it's, again, shout out to the House Brand Group. That's, I think there's some folks on here from there. We talk about clarity all the time in our brand and who we are. But also in a relationship, you got to be clear of who you are so you know what you want. Because if you don't know who you are, how you going to, come on, you can't attract right. So I had to get that clarity, and it took that took almost all my 30s. I'm gonna be very honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's no, I think where we get it wrong too is that we think that by a certain age we should already have clarity. No, clarity is not a race. It's not
Yeah.
a time stamp of, oh, you should have it by this age. You should be prepared. You should know all the things. No, it comes from experiences, and then it also comes from putting in the work,
Yeah.
and making a conscious decision to say, hey, I want to get rid of this here. I want my future to be different than my past. But you got to put in the work. And that's how you get clarity. And back to what you said, the importance of clarity is when you go into new situations, you can identify things. You can identify if it's really a red flag or if it's like maybe I'm still, this is just a trigger from my past, because everything that happens in new situations is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's just us. We haven't properly dealt with it. So, okay, cool. So I have a question for you, Krystal.
Okay.
Okay, so your logo or your brand is helping people break up with what's breaking them. So let's talk about that. Like, so what is your process for that?
Yes. So here's the beautiful part of launching this. This is birthed into something that I couldn't have prayed. I mean, I don't know. It's just been a blessing. How we even got to helping people break up what was breaking them. I don't know about you, but when you are going through a season in life where you just can't catch a break, like you're trying to figure out, why can't I move forward? And it could be so many different things. So it ended up being that around November, by now I launched in 2025 in July. Once I started building this program, I started realizing I'm running into a lot of women who are still holding on to the broken pieces. Like they're carrying it around and they're not realizing that's why they're not moving forward. And the only reason why I can recognize it is because I did that, been there, done it. I held on to so much brokenness that there were things that were holding me back from being more empowered to live a more confident lifestyle. It impacted my mindset and impacted my fitness, and it impacted how I took care of myself. So the pillars of Journey to Freedom is a big part of this program, is to help people fix their mindset. Let's get a healthier mindset about who they believe they are. That's one. Number two, once you've gotten a straight mindset in your mind of who you are, and that's through my personalized coaching, the goal is to then help you with your fitness, because you have to love your whole self. So your mind impacts how you treat your body. It's a direct correlation. And then from there, as you are learning how to take care of yourself, the third part, now you're able to love yourself fully for who you are. Not only can you love, now you can give love in a healthy way, but then you can also receive it. And that is the basis of this program. My goal is to help give those tools to these women who are wanting to break up what it is. It could be the loss of a job. It could be they're empty nesters now, or it could be that bad relationship. Majority of the women I am working with, it is a relationship driven process. But I'll give an example really light, because I don't want to share too much. But one of the young ladies I've been working with, it was as simple as helping her on a 21-day wellness challenge. I had a group of women join in. We started in November, right before Thanksgiving. We all know we lose a lot of sunlight during the winter. So what happens? You get hibernation mode. Some people suffer from depression or anxiety during those times. So I decided, you know what? Because I know me, I'm like, I know I suffer in these areas during the winter months. Instead of me doing that challenge by myself, I opened it up to my community, my Journey to Freedom crew. And I decided to take them through 21 days of self-care affirmations, positive affirmations. We did a fitness routine. I linked up with a phenomenal fitness trainer, and she's from the House of Brand Network that I'm a part of. And she decided to give out 21 workouts that people could do. And then it would end with a self-care routine. And that was daily. By the end of it, to look at their faces and seeing the transformation, some of them hadn't worked out in years. Some of them hadn't moved their body. They didn't know, they didn't care to move. They felt okay in their brokenness. To watch and hear the testimonials at the end of that challenge was what solidified it for me that I need to keep going, because these women now, I can look at them now. I've had one move to a whole other state and start over. I've had another woman that decided I'm going to join a gym and take care of my mind. I journal now. All these things I kept getting from them. And so that's the point of my program, is to help you walk away from your brokenness so you can be more empowered in how you want to live going forward, whether it's getting a new job, writing that book you've been wanting to write. It doesn't have to always start with the heartbreak from a dude. It could be a heartbreak in general. And so that's what I'm all about. That's it.
Okay. So I definitely want to go back to something you said in the very beginning of this here, Krystal. So you said fix your mindset. So many people, our mind is noisy. It's depending on how we were raised, depending on our life situations. It could be something that we were told as a kid. It could be something that we were told in the breakup. It could be something that we were told when we were losing a job. Our minds are noisy with all of these things that we are not. It's telling us you're not this, you're not this, you're not this here. And then on top of that, the noise from what we're telling ourselves is clouding our mind. It's filling our mindset. So how do you silence that noise in your head? How do you silence that?
See, that's a good question. My theory though is I'd rather you say it out loud. You're not going to be able to silence it, but you got to acknowledge it. I feel like you can't just out of nowhere erase that thought, whatever you were told from when you were a child or whatever that abandonment issue you were dealing with or feeling left behind. You got to literally either write it down, let it out, say it. And I don't know if it's saying it to yourself or within a small community, but I know one thing's for sure. The silencing of it won't heal you. You have to acknowledge whatever that is that you are dealing with. I mean, again, for me, I grew up in a 2-parent home. It wasn't that I was lacking in love, but I was still lacking something to let me allow someone to treat me the way I did, right? So I couldn't point it back to my parents or my siblings. I had to figure it out and acknowledge, oh, I know what it is, Krystal. You have an image problem. You don't like the way you look. So therefore, anytime you think people don't like you, you feel rejected. I had to acknowledge that instead of silence it. And instead of me silencing it, I leaned into it and decided I'm not going to say that about myself anymore. I'm going to find some things that I like about myself, and I'm going to keep working on those things. Even if in the back of my head, there are still moments, you're still going to have them. So I wouldn't say there's a way to silence it. I just feel like you got to acknowledge it, say it out loud, dead on, like this is what it is, and then keep going.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Now, one thing that I've learned to do is to recondition my thoughts. And
There you go.
I've said this a lot of times on the podcast, and I call it the Jesus complex. I call it the Jesus complex. And I reason I call it the Jesus complex is because Jesus was so confident in who he was. He always walked around. He said, "I am the Son. I am this. I am this. I am." He always said what he was. So in those moments when I tend to doubt myself, those thoughts may cross my mind. It may be like, John, I never tell myself this, but just like hypothetically, it's like, John, you're stupid. I will say I am not stupid. And
Yeah.
because everything that follows am, the universe sends it to you. As soon as you send it out, the universe responds. Whether you want to call it universe, God, the angels, whatever you want to call it, as soon as everything that follows the words I am, as soon as you let those out of your mouth, the universe responds with what you say you are. So
Yeah.
I tend to recondition myself because those thoughts, when they do creep up in my mind, because I can wake up, I want to wake up on 100 every day. But that's
Sure.
kind of impossible. Depending on whether I got a good night's sleep, I may wake up not feeling 100, and I may be thinking some thoughts that I normally wouldn't think. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. I verbalize it by countering it. So
Yeah.
when those thoughts come into my mind, I check it. I be like, I am not. I correct that, and I say it out loud so that the angels, universe, whatever you want to call it, responds. And then not only that, I hear it. And what we hear, we end up believing and we think. So yeah, you do say it out, but like I said, I don't say the thoughts that come in my mind. I just say the counter
Yeah.
of what's in my mind. So, but I do agree saying it out loud and writing it down so that you can go back later and see, like, because I used to keep a journal all the time as well. And when I go back and I read some of my journals, sometimes my heart breaks because
Mm.
I'm very honest in my journals, and I read and I'll be like, dang, you was going through that at that time, and
Mhm.
you was feeling this way at that time, and it just makes me hurt for me,
Yeah.
that I felt that way at that time. So I do agree, journaling is super important. Yeah.
It's huge. And you hit it. And with me saying acknowledge, I love what you said. While acknowledging it, yes, you have to recounter the thought. So, and I feel like I took a class not too long ago, and you have to also ask yourself, is that actually the truth? That's another thing that I learned earlier this year. So I had to actually kind of re-go back myself as I was approaching 41. Like there are some beliefs that I'm still holding on to they're not true. But another thing I also do with those thoughts, beyond acknowledging those thoughts or what have you, Going with gratitude first, like finding things to be thankful for, is a big way that I still remain positive. Like I always tell people, I don't really see the glass half empty or full. I'm just thankful I have an actual cup. And it took me a long time to get to that mentality because it's very easy to look at what they got. And if I could, I mean, go down the list of all these things that people have been blessed with that I have not seen in my own life, man, I could be the most broken person you could meet, right? But because I have gratitude and I've already looked those false, thoughts in the face and I've acknowledged them dead on, I can just stand here thankful for my experience and who I am and where I'm going. And then with gratitude, service. I want to help people. So in me helping only re-edifies myself and I get that reward back. So I don't know. It's so much, it's so many layers to this, but I'm excited to help people, finally look themselves in the mirror and like what they see, it takes a lot of unpacking. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you said you have to ask yourself, is it true? Is it true, those thoughts or what someone said? And because a lot of times we have to take into consideration who says things sometimes, and this is not like measuring somebody or whatever, but I read this book. It was by no, that's the Four Agreements. So I don't read so many books, but
Hey,
it's
that's what
one principle.
you'll have your book.
Oh,
I
you
have
get
the Four Agreements. So if you're looking for it, it's on my bookshelf.
I have it on audio now. I listen
I
to that book
figured.
all the time. But
Best book.
one of the best books ever. And one of the things in the books is take nothing personal, because you
Yes.
have to understand that people are fickle. People are fickle. So they may say something to you one day, and everything we say based on how we are feeling in that moment. So when if they say something mean to you, they could possibly be going through something horrific themselves, and they are just vomiting on you. Or they may come back to saying that, I'll give an example. Krystal, I'll say, Krystal, you sure did sing that song good yesterday. I'll say that you sang that song good at church yesterday because, I'm still on my high from church or whatever. I get to work on Tuesday, all hell break loose. Me and you talk, I'll be like, Krystal, you sound a mess on Sunday. Same song, same person, but I have two different life experiences at that moment. So that's why you cannot take things personal, and you have to ask yourself, is it the truth? Is it the truth? What are they saying? Is that the truth? Yeah, you got to say that. And the second thing, I can't even remember the second thing.
I believe it's being intentional or mean what you say. That part, being intentional with why you're even thinking that way. Like you have to be intentional with your thoughts. I feel like that's important. If I woke up today and said, man, today's going to be horrible, guess what? It was going to be horrible. But this morning, I woke up with joy on my heart, knowing that whatever happens today, I'm going to count it all joy. And it ended up being the busiest Monday I've had in months. So I was worried. Here I was, oh my God, am I going to have energy? But I said, no, Krystal, stop that. You're going to have energy. I had to say, no, you're going to have energy to do this tonight. You're going to have it. You're going to bring it. You're going to have a good time, because I could have easily wallowed in the fact that today I had no breaks. Really, I went straight through.
Yeah.
But I could have wallowed in my thought of this is going to be a, really busy, tiring day. Had I did that, I would have led that way. So it's your thoughts and being intentional.
Intentional. And that means every day you have to get up and say your affirmations. You have to be intentional. I read this one book one time by Stephen Arterburn, Healing is a Choice. And one thing in that book, every day it gave you 40 affirmations you had to quote every day. 40 affirmations. You have to wake up every morning and recite them every day, because you have to counter those low moments in your life. And I tell people all the time, I believe affirmations are prophetic, because you may not feel the best in that moment, but you're
Yeah.
speaking that it's going to come. You are
Yeah.
prophetically speaking over yourself that this is coming to me. So you got to be intentional about those affirmations. So we got a question for you, Krystal. It
Uh-oh.
says, what is one limiting belief you see holding people back the most from living the life they were created for?
Ooh. Okay, that's a great question. What is one limiting belief? You know, I will say that they're not good enough. There is a belief out there going around that why me? Why would I be chosen for this? I don't believe I'm good enough. And man, if they were just to switch that mentality and say, why not me? Like I mean, I had to reprogram myself as well. I don't want y'all to think I'm over here like healed and holy and sanctified and I got it all together. No, I had to reprogram my whole self because yeah, I once believed that I was not good enough. There was a reason I kind of took a back seat from acting, from theater, from all those things that I didn't believe I was good enough. Even though people told me, oh, you're really great. I didn't believe it. So I let my own limiting fear of that, of not being good enough, hold me back. So I believe that's what holds people back a lot, is that belief of that they're not good enough. And I'm here to tell you, if that's you on this call right now, you really got to check in with that heart. Know that you are worth it. I say that all the time to myself, you're worth it and you are enough because you are already created wonderful. You were. God already fashioned you for something great. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's once you think of it from that standpoint and knowing who created you, you can't negate that. But it took time to get there. But yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I love how you answer that. I'm not good enough. And those moments they could always arise. You could, it depends on your situations. You go somewhere, you're about to go on stage to speak, and someone else just came off the stage right before you, and the audience is crazy for them. That thought,
Listen,
the devil would put that thought in your mind to make you nervous and throw you off your game real quick. Yeah.
John, it's already happened. That happened in real life for me. And it's because, honestly, I got to be transparent. I was not prepared. I had an audition that I was supposed to go on, but I was going to wing it because I was like, well, they like me. I'll be fine. I'll just get the part. But there was a girl that went in right before me. We had the same monologue. And I'm listening to her. When I tell you, she hit every piece of it. And I was shook. But I had to get on myself a little bit. I did not prepare for it. So that was why I bombed the audition. But had I prepared and knew that I was good enough, I could have looked her in the eye and said, good job, and still did a great job. But I let all that shake me. So
yeah,
gotta know you're good enough.
Yeah, Tiff, someone said limited beliefs can come out of nowhere. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's the
true.
theme.
Yeah, you think you are like prepared, you feel good, and then all of a sudden it just hit. And again, in those moments, I counter it and I say the N-word to myself. I'll be like, nigga, you John Patrick Adams. Like, nigga, what is your problem? Get it together and
Together.
Get it together. Like, this ain't no competition, nigga. Go out there and do your thing.
Do what you know. And do it well.
And do it well. Yeah. Do well. But that's a curse that I think a lot of us do. And that's when the whole I'm not enough come into place, is that we compare ourselves a lot to other people. And the danger in comparing ourselves to other people is that we are comparing our reality to our perception of someone else. And our perception is deceiving because our perception is just what we see. Like social media, we see people with all of these things and they driving cars and they got all this stuff. And then we compare it to ourselves. We're like, I'm just driving this Honda Civic, whatever. I'm just driving this Honda Civic. And we feel that we're not good enough. But you don't know that person could be driving that Range Rover and their dashboard look like a Las Vegas strip because all the lights on it, tire pressure,
come on, the light,
everything. You don't know what people going through to have what they got. So you can't compare yourself.
Listen, and when you get stuck in comparing, you lose. You will lose.
Every time.
And I know it because I've done it. I've done it. And I feel like you got to be real with yourself. When you start getting to that comparison mode, I had to remind myself there's only one Krystal with a K, like me. There's thousands of Krystals with a K. I Googled myself the other day and saw lots of Krystal Browns, but they're not me. I'm the only one like this, right? I'm the only one that's unique. So what do I look like trying to compare myself to someone that doesn't equate? So yeah, that was good. Oh Lord.
Yeah, and Pat said, why not me? And then she said, you are beautiful and wonderfully made. That why not me stuff, people, sometimes we need to stop asking God, why not me? And just be glad that it is not us. Because I've had so many situations that maybe things didn't turn out the way, or I didn't get what I wanted in the moment. But
Oh
when I
yeah.
look back in retrospect, I see God's hand all over it. And I
Oh
see
yeah.
now that it was him protecting me from me. And it was protecting me from things that could have taken me out. So sometimes in those situations when it doesn't work out, and I find myself doing this all the time. When stuff don't work out, I always say, thank you, God, for whatever you're protecting me from. Or
Oh
thank
yeah.
you, God, for keeping me from something that could hurt me. I try not to ever ask why not me, because that why not me could be the thing that saved me. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, we can snap. Y'all put some snaps in the chat. That's snap worthy. Okay. See
Yeah.
now look, and then you wonder why this man also became a mentor in my life. It's things like this that he would help me snap back into reality. Because there were things he would watch me say certain things about myself or do certain things, and he would be like, girl, if you don't snap out of it, it's not you. This is not what you want. But then he would also see, look, this is how the hand of God was protecting you from certain things. And even though I was trying to make stuff work just in general, forcing a job, forcing a relationship, forcing things that may not have been in my time. Again, me moving to Dallas was a plot twist that I didn't never see coming. I was supposed to go to New York. My goal was to be in New York, and I was supposed to go and do all these things, Broadway, all this stuff. But God knew. He knew I was going to show up and do some different things and may not have found what he wanted me to find. And so he had to take me through a whole other state to get it together. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so let's go back to, because this your tagline is so amazing, Krystal. Let me see here. Helping people break up with what's breaking them. So once you start this whole journey of helping them to break it, like, are most people receptive to the change of thinking and forgiving and moving forward? Are people really receptive to that? Have you
Yes,
found that?
I am thankful to see something, even though I'm still in the very beginning of what's building, but the people that are watching me go through this and seeing transformation, and then watching me transform, they're seeing me take leaps I've never taken before. This is the furthest I've ever gotten to helping people on this level that had nothing to do with my actual job and what I do for a living. And so that has been beautiful. And I'll share with you. I actually did a poll from old students that I worked with a long time ago. And I just asked them, if y'all can just share one thing that I might have helped you out with beyond getting into school, what would that be? That was a resounding, like, my DMs were so full that I had to go back and still read them just to remember, like, oh my God, I didn't know I was helping some of these people out of abusive relationships, helping them flee whatever they were going through. I'm noticing people are attracted to the light that I'm offering. If they only knew that I was once in the dark looking for light. So what I've learned now is you have to shine your light on other people to help them find their way. And that's really what I'm trying to be, a light bearer, through helping them break up or whatever's breaking them. That's the goal. The transformation is real. And I've seen some people take leaps of faith that they didn't even know they could do.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people pick up and move to their hometown to start over after just doing 21 days of of a journey that I wasn't sure if it was going to be as impactful, but I've seen it. And now I'm like, all right, I got to keep going. I can't give up, John. At this point, there's no turning back. So it's just a matter of continuing to build, to help people get where they need to be and coaching them through. And my goal is, I don't want you to stay with me forever. Like the goal is to see you go, you know, and then let me know how life is. I don't want you to feel like you got to stay stuck in the coaching mode either. You know, after a while, you know, on football teams, you know, your team player, your players get traded. They leave, they go on and do better. My goal is to help people go do better. Don't look back. Go do better. You were in this healing space. You know, you're working on your healing. Go get free.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that because freedom is a great place to be. And just even on that freedom part of it, I tell people, I'm telling everybody that is out here listening tonight, one thing I want everybody to leave with tonight is like everything that happens in our lives, it's there's a bigger reason for it. There's a bigger purpose for it. So,
Sure.
you know, there's a bigger purpose. Now, in real time, when we're going through, we don't see the purpose. All we do is feel the pain. So, but I encourage you, you know, like if you're out of a situation or you're going through a situation, you're going to come out of it. So I'm just right now, you're in the through phase of it. You have to go through it to get to it. So you're going to come out of it. And then, but for everybody, I definitely encourage you to own everything. Own
Yeah.
your past, own your experiences, because if you don't own it, someone else is going to hold you a slave to it because we feel shame and people will hold that over us and we will. And that's one thing I love about Krystal is she's transparent about her journey. And that's what it's all about. It's about owning what we go through so that we can help somebody else in the future. And we're not afraid of sharing our story. We're not telling our business because we're not telling who did this to us, what they did, but we are sharing what we've come through and how we made it out. So I encourage everybody that's listening tonight, own your stuff, own your past so that you can walk in freedom because if you're not owning it, that means somebody else is owning you or your past is owning you and you're walking in shame, which is going to prevent you from walking through doors you're
Yeah.
supposed to walk through, because that's what the shameful moments does. It makes us feel like, oh, they're not going to accept me because we think everybody know what done happened to us. People, another lesson I've learned in these 53 years of living is that we live in a bubble. And our
Yes.
bubble is so much smaller than the world. And when we come out of our little bubble, our little circle of friends, we realize that nobody knows us. Nobody knows our business. Just these people that's in our little circle. Nah, you got to get out of that. The world is
Yeah.
so much bigger. So own your past, own your life experiences so that you can walk in that freedom that Krystal is talking about. And that's forgiving and owning is how you walk in that freedom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You hit it on the nose. There is, again, there's a song that says it. There's beauty in your brokenness. And I believe that. I believe it wholeheartedly. If it were not for my broken pieces and things that I've gone through, how in the world would I be able to speak into anybody else? You know, like you kind of have to, like you said, you got to go through it to get to it. So I'm excited to take people on a journey. And I'm looking forward to those who want to, you know, come aboard with me and get in this thing. Because they're not going to be by themselves. That's the thing. Can't do this stuff by yourself. There's nothing wrong with being in a community of like-minded people that want to help you be better, grow, and also advance. So you got to get in the room with people that are there to cultivate that, not to hold you back, but to push you forward.
Yeah. I love that. So, guys,
Yeah.
if you want to book that first appointment with Krystal, you can go out to her website, journey to the number 2, freedomwellness.com. So go out there. She has a sign up form. You can put your information in there. Everything is confidential. So go out there, fill it out, and get your first coaching session going. And please go out and follow Krystal. You can follow her on Instagram at kbrown818. So go out and follow her on Instagram and get plugged in because she's doing some good stuff and she's sharing her journey. And the thing I love about people sharing their journey is one day you may look up and their journey is exactly your journey in that moment. And they may say something to help push you through to the next thing. So yeah, go out and follow her. And then again, guys, tonight song was Bet on You. If you do nothing else, bet on you to win. Losing is not an option. Bet on you to win. And we will see you guys next month. Chris, it's been an hour and we've been talking that time.
Wow, I feel like this is great. I love it. And
Yeah.
thank you, John. Thank you for having me. It was an honor.
No, thank you for coming on. You know, you becoming big time. You know, I just got a little
look.
podcast. So, you know, you have
That's
to
all
come on
right.
here.
Look, anytime. I got you. We'll have our people do lunch.
Exactly. So guys, next week we'll be back. We're back with the song off of K. Renee's CD. Make sure y'all go out and listen to it. Yolanda Hargrove is my guest next week. She's a licensed therapist, and she'll be on the podcast next week. And we are discussing the song Healing in Real Time. That's another track on that CD. So go out, listen to the CD. Let me put that up so y'all can see it again.
Hey, let's go. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. K. Renee audition tape. Go out and listen to it. It's fire. I love it. But go out and listen to it. And yeah, we will see you guys. Let me get this picture off this screen so they can see us. We will see you guys next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, then, guys. Peace.
Thank you.
Real life stories and transparent conversations, hustle and grind, love and relationships, with all the tools for living your best life. It's the Dope Ass Do Podcast. The Dope Ass Do Podcast.